We're all clear, but there'll be more. Echo 7, how's the transmission?
I just bypassed security. Transferring to Attin now.
Echo 2, we've got company. Let's make this quick.
Copy, Echo 9. R10, get ready for transmission. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Hoth Transmissions. So today we are going to be jumping into Skeleton Crew, episode 4. So I know the last few episodes Fluffy has kind of not been into it, but I feel like this episode, yeah, she fell asleep on the first two. It's kind of whatever on the third one. And I feel like this episode was the one for her because she was disappointed there wasn't a lot of Neil in the last episode. And this one, he kind of shines a little bit. So tell us what you think, Fluff.
I think the show is garbage. Yay!
And that's the end of this episode. Thank you for listening.
And we'll catch you next week.
Yep.
Maybe.
The end of the podcast. Ta-da! Yeah. Now, the only reason I'm watching this is Neil. This episode was, from start to finish, just hot trash. No storytelling, no pace.
Really?
Very weird things. Why? There is like a great scene of Jude Law. He's Jude Law. I don't care about his Crimson Jack, Jawed, blah, blah, whatever it is. Jude Law. Facing a bunch of locals. And then what happens? We get what happened there with exposition. Why? Why? Why is that little girl jumping around doing weird stuff? What? Why? The only good part was that we understand that this was a project and there were a bunch of Attins and some of them failed. Attin did not. The droid knows more than he leads to, but his memory banks are coded corrupted in some way. That's it. What was the episode? I gave you all of this information in the last minute. What was the episode?
Wow. Well, that's the episode ruined for me. So thanks.
Yeah, honestly. Tell us how you feel, Fluffy.
Wait,
No,
Sam,
it's
you really liked the episode?
I thought it was the weak. I think the ending was the stronger part of it, not because it ended, but just because of the reveal. But I feel all the build up to it was kind of weak. So I'll say it's probably one of the weaker episodes until like the last 10 minutes.
See, I would honestly say the opposite. So this is actually going to be a fun one. I loved the episode because it was one of those ones where you could just sit down, put it on, and watch it. Like, you don't have to overthink things. You know, it was just an enjoyable chill out.
Because it told us nothing. Except for the last 10 minutes. And I think the ending of that was also quite abrupt. Yeah, Neil fainted. Neil passed out from nerves.
I mean, the way I see it is it was just a Neil story. And, like, if you like Neil, awesome. If you don't, then yeah. So what I'm getting from this, Fluffy, is that you hate Neil. It's at this moment that Fluffy is rolling her eyes epically at me.
For the people who cannot see me, I just rolled my eyes towards the back of my head as far as they can go. No, I am honestly just watching this show for Neil now. If it changes, if somehow the story gets incredibly good towards the end. Yeah, good. Great. I am just going to power through for doing this and getting to talk to you guys. But other than that, Skeleton Crew is basically over for me as of this episode.
Fair
So-
enough.
So the Neil story killed it for you. You know, the character development that we wanted in this little blue elephant dude.
We
killed us.
got, and not just him. Like, we had character development almost everybody. The only person that we still don't know anything about is Jude Law's character. Like, I'm very, very curious about just who he is, and like, because he comes off as like this guy that we've discussed in the last few episodes, is that only cares for himself and all that nonsense. And he seems like the kids are slowly growing on him.
I mean, that is also something. Like, his part of the story is going way too slow. We know from his exposition that he negotiated with the locals. No, he didn't. He probably force choked all of them, and we will know about this when we go back to that planet or the people on that planet as a flashback or like a big reveal and blah blah blah. I mean, I don't see any other reason why, but even then it is so unconvincing to me. I don't want to believe that he's a good guy. I don't want to believe that he's a bad guy. I have, like, his only motivation is money, and that has been 4 episodes long. That is too slow. I will not believe in any of the character development or any of the plot points that he will take part in the next 4. And that's supposed to wrap up the whole story? No.
He's a pirate. Pirates are only after one thing. Stop eye rolling at me.
Damn!
It's about the kids.
And
Oh, and the robot. He's cool.
A little crazy, but cool.
Sorry.
you hated the Bad Batch. You
Yes, I
hated
did.
the Acolyte.
I hate. You mentioned it.
Oh, yeah, you're the first one to mention it.
Yes.
No!
You lose. I don't know what the deal was, but you lost.
There was no deal. Not yet. I was so sure I wasn't going to be the bun, but now Sam being so optimistic about this is driving me insane. Dude! No! You are
Yeah.
not this person.
Yeah.
You are not this person.
Yeah.
Which is, it's actually really funny because I don't really see too many people hating the show online. My buddy, he sat down and watched the first 2 episodes with his family, and they shut it off. And I was actually really surprised. They're like, "It's just a kid show." I'm like, "But you got to keep watching it; it gets better." But I mean, we get into this 4th episode, and we find this planet that's very similar to Attin, and it's one of the ones destroyed. What has me confused is you got these 2 tribes basically feuding over who gets the planet or whatnot, right?
Yeah.
And you're so used to Attin being a place where they're kind of shut off from the rest of the galaxy. Here, I don't know if this is, or I don't know if these guys are natives to the planet, or if they're off-worlders that just landed and they're trying to fight over it. But it seems like they don't really deal with the off-worlders. Doesn't seem like they have any ships. They do have weapons and farming, ways to farm.
I mean, probably just like at Attin, every planet that has been part of this project or whatever is outside of the star charts or star maps. So they don't get any off-worlders because nobody knows that they exist.
There was a fair few aliens though in
Mhm.
the in each tribe, as it would be, and I think they said that they did have some traders land on the planet.
Off and on, yeah.
So it must exist in some way. I guess, like without an actual explanation, once it got deemed that it was a failed experiment, they just added it to the map.
Because that also raises this question. Okay, so the Empire, you figured that they would have shown up there and done something to the planet, but it looks like this is another planet that's untouched by the Empire. And these people, if I were them, I'd be like, "Oh, all right, see you guys. I'm out of here." Like, why would I want to stay on a planet where I'm sitting here having to fight another tribe for control of the planet? It's like, okay, well, all right, I don't like this planet, so I'm going to just go to another one.
Maybe they don't even have starships or anything like that, so that they would be able to go. And in my opinion, the people who are off-worlders who are in that, like, coming into that planet, maybe just are there coincidentally. I don't really know, because they had to. Yeah, they looked for it. You're right, and they found it in a star chart. So I guess it's not deleted off of the things, or were put back in, and not as secret as at Attin. I also hate the name of the planet. It's so blech. But yeah.
Just call it ATATN.
Exactly. ATATN. Ew. That's even worse. Yeah, no. I'm sorry I'm being so negative, but I honestly don't see
That was fine.
anything like anywhere that this could go.
So you don't find any of the mystery intriguing?
No, that's the only part. Like, Neil, and I really want to know what's up with it. Like, why do we have this entire show? If at least that part of it gives me something, oh, look, there have been planets like this, blah, 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 then maybe. But other than that, I honestly don't see the reason of this show existing, because the story isn't also that good either. And the
Wrong.
characters, except for Neil.
Kidding. Well, I'm quite enjoying the story. Like, I like the story. Like, it's just a fun little adventure. Like I've been saying last, and that's kind of where I'm seeing it as. I'm not like trying to see how it connects to everything, but it is kind of interesting on the mystery. And then this whole planet that they landed on seems like a third world country, basically. It's like they're training children to fight in their little war, and yeah, it's just very interesting because they even have our off-worlders, our little crew, start training with them. They're like, okay, well, if you want to get to the the tower, then you have to train with us to see if you can even survive there. It's like, okay, well, it seems like they're able to just walk up to it anyways without any hassle. So I'm really curious of like what was the big fuss on that. Like, to me, that all just seemed pointless because they just walk out into a war zone, and then Jude Law just comes out and it's like, oh, I'm saving you guys. I got all the lost animals, and I'm gonna trade these for the kids.
And how did he do that?
I'm wondering if this is gonna be like because I'm gonna bring up Acolyte again real quick, just because of the whole instance of Kamir was the most interesting thing in that story, and like I feel like they should have focused more on his character. So I'm wondering if Fluffy is thinking the same thing with Jude Law. It's like we got so much mystery behind him. His story would probably be a little bit more entertaining on that planet than the kids' story.
Yes, 100%. That's also another thing. Like, if it's the kids' storyline that we should be watching, put something more in it. If it's Jude Law, put something more in it. But going halfway with both story A and story B is not working.
I mean, that's fair because I do because like whenever Jude Law is in a scene, the scene's usually pretty good. Like he's at the ship and the other tribe comes up to him and they start pointing their guns at him. He's like, "Oh, just shoot me." Like, I thought his lines are hilarious in the way that he delivers them, and then I really thought he was going to do something more with 33, because when he's on the ship, he's like, okay, let's tinker with your memory a little bit, and then it comes to show like maybe he just didn't have enough time because the other tribe got there. But I was expecting a little bit more out of that little scenario.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about the characters still. In like this episode was definitely Neil based. You know, it was more focused on him, and everything else kind of just happened around him. You can kind of chalk Jude Law's character up to, well, I mean, the fact that he admitted he stole the money to buy back the herd was one thing. So, oh yeah, I may have stole it. It's fine. It's cool. Don't worry about it. It's like, okay, great, but what's your overall, point? But what annoys me is we're halfway through the season now, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And we've just discovered that there are more ad planets.
I think like 8.
How are we going to go to each one to try and get the coordinates for Attin, or are we just going to go, oh, the droids just remembered everything, let's go there now? Like this is for me where, because I like the mystery of it, but this is where the mystery becomes too much.
Okay, that's fair. Because I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah. I can say my feelings about it like this. I can explain it like that. I feel like the show writers focused a lot on the mystery surrounding the planet and forgot to develop the stories of how to solve that mystery. Because that's what makes a mystery amazing, at least to me. Not just the puzzle that it is, but the way to solve it. And I feel like that part is very much underdeveloped, at least so far. Because again, halfway point, we are nowhere near close to anything. We also haven't gone back to at Attin to the adults there, because they were already also they were giving us signals about them. That's also at the moment completely left. Like the pirates that we met at the pirate port, that we haven't seen them again. The adults in at Attin, we haven't seen them again. We just keep adding more and more and more and forgetting and leaving people behind. And I don't know how long that could go on. It would
That's
be
right. I
too
forgot about the
rushed.
pirates.
It's a pirate show.
It is a pirate show, but I forgot about the original pirates that were chasing him.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like I feel like every episode we are picking up a thread, but it's a completely new thread.
Yeah, it's not even unraveling the main.
Yep. And that's what bothers me.
I wonder if it's gonna be like one of those things where the final episode, they all of them just collide onto Attin. It's like the parents are there, they're getting ready to take off, but then they crash land, and then the pirates somehow follow them on, and they all get into like this big duel. I'm
At
expecting
the
the
moment,
final episode to be big.
yeah.
Oh,
At the moment, it looks like it. Like 90%, it is going to be one final battle at Attin. Oh, we also have the Republic, Kim. There is
That
also
is
that thread that we've put aside.
well, I feel like she was just kind of a stepping stone. I'm actually not really sure we'll see much of her again.
Yeah, but the Republic, the X-Wings.
I just hope Kim doesn't turn into another Maz Kanata. Completely pointless. It's like
She was in it for one episode. I think it's safe to say that she already is the Maz Kanata of this season.
This is true, but I mean, like, she didn't really develop any more importance to herself other than being a astrologist or astronomer.
I think,
Whereas Maz Kanata seemed like she was going to have a bigger role in the entire trilogy,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
just kind of dropped off the face of the earth and got some random scene in The Last Jedi.
that is the difference, because Maz was definitely, she had more questions that were raised, like how did she get the lightsaber and everything, whereas Kim, you know,
I don't
you
really
had
have any questions.
you had a couple of like throwaway lines about how her and Jude Law know each other, and
If you need
that's
me, you can always call on me.
yeah, that's all that you need. You know, that there's no lightsaber reveal, there's no other mysteries. It's just she has a lot of books and star charts. That's good enough for me.
Yeah, no, like my point was not Kim herself, but that there was the Republic.
Yeah.
Like Republic is
Right.
part of the
That
story. The pirates are a part of the story. At Attin and the adults and the supervisor or whatever is another part of the story. Now we have another planet with two tribes. We don't even know what happened to one of them. My again guess is that Jude Law annihilated them. And then the kids.
that was
And
kind of
just
my guess.
like 6 different parties, 4 episodes. Yeah.
I
think
mean,
I
he is
would
Crimson Jack, so I think a lot of crimson was spilled on that planet.
I'm taking the high road here and saying that he literally just paid them off. He did not murder
Boring.
anyone. I know.
Boring. Mr. Order 66 over here is going.
Exactly. I don't even know this person anymore.
Yeah.
I just fail to see the relevancy of Republic credits in a planet where people trade goods.
Because when off-worlders do show up, they're going to need some type of currency. Because what do they really have to trade to people that are traveling a galaxy and come to this third world planet?
That's what they were saying. They were trading in hides.
Well,
Literally.
yeah, but to off-worlders though.
Yeah, and
if you
it's
have,
going to be the off-worlders.
You have more money, you can
That's
get
fair.
better weapons to then obliterate the enemy. So
Yeah, because one side has this giant gun or rail gun.
So what does
okay, yeah, sure.
Credits get you? A bigger gun.
A ship. Just fly over and just do a planetary attack. You can buy a Star Destroyer. Yeah, because those were some questions. Like, okay, well, what do they trade other than hides? And then I had the same question because I was thinking about it. It's like, why did they need Republic credits? But then, and then that was what I kind of settled on. It's like, okay, well, if off-worlders do drop down and they don't want hides, then they could just say, oh, we got some Republic credits, and not just any Republic credits. They're at Republic credits now. So I'm gonna say he probably killed them and took the animals back, and he kept the gold for himself, and just said that he used it to pay for them. Because once they leave the planet, like the people are gonna be like very confused. It's like, okay, well, we haven't been attacked in days. So I'm wondering if Mr. Sam is right. If it is just as simple as him just stealing from the kid to save them.
The second explanation I might have that may not paint Jude Law's character in the worst light is that he escaped the prison like he escaped the prison at the pirate post and took the animals with him.
Because he does have a ship this time, so it makes more sense for him to escape.
Yeah. But I don't see how that droid is going to sneak anyway. But These are all my very well thought out negative thoughts.
Well thought out negative thoughts. Love it. I mean, you do raise some really good points though, because I mean, it is like I said, this episode was probably the weaker of the 4 that we've seen so far, and the only thing that kind of makes it relevant is just the whole Atlas room, which wondering why nobody was there in the command tower. Like, you figure one of these tribes would have found some use out of it, unless they didn't know how to operate it. Because I think it was what KB had to reroute power or something. I might be remembering wrong, but
No,
definitely
I
that's
think you're right.
so these people don't seem like they know technology that well, but only enough to operate a railgun.
Yeah.
But I mean, we go ahead.
I was just going to say that the main point of the episode to me was just more character development for Neil.
That's actually where I was about to go.
Great minds.
Think alike. Let's go.
I'm happy about that because he is definitely the most underdeveloped character. When we see him, he's kind of just like a sidekick, and then he's the one that's always staying behind. He doesn't want to do the missions because he's too afraid, and then this is putting him front and center, and you get to know more about his feelings and sort of makes him more human for a blue elephant dude.
It gives them more like human-like qualities for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the way that I'm really taking it is like it's this group of kids who are stuck on this planet and they accidentally get thrown into space and end up getting lost. And so you get these 4 scared kids who don't know anything better, and they go through this whole adventure to become stronger and better. Like I said, it reminds me of the hobbits leaving the Shire and coming back at the end after Mordor is completely liberated. And you got these, they're not the same when they come back. And I honestly feel like the pirates are going to be at the planet at the end, and it's going to be these kids that are going to be the ones that save the day, which will be kind of a little lame, to be honest. But we see that they are building character. Like Fern was this character that was overly confident and portrayed to be the smartest, and then the moment of doubt comes in and she's sitting there crying. And Wim, who's the careless kid, is the one that goes up and gives her a pep talk. And then KB is just KB.
I was just going to say that KB does not have to develop. She's perfect.
Yeah, KB is just KB. She's just along for the ride. She's like, I'll do whatever. She's like, I'll rewire this droid. That sounds like fun. And then you got Neil, who gets this whole arc on this planet where he is learning about these people that all they do is fight. And he's kind of like, well, we never had to fight for anything. And so maybe just apologize to them, blah, blah, blah. And you see him get some food. And I'm guessing they have food on the ship, at least. And so he doesn't really need the food. And so you get to see a tender moment where he sees a couple hungry kids and kind of shows some charity towards them, which I thought was really cool because it shows that Neil is a nice person, a nice little blue elephant. And so you get to see his true character. And then he kind of rubs off on his new girlfriend. And yeah, it's just interesting because she kind of like sparks a little bit of, I want to say, character into him as well, because I don't think he would have done what he did at the end of the episode if he didn't really go through what he did with that girl.
Yeah, definitely. I think that girl and Neil definitely sort of rubbed off on one another because she was doubting, not doubting the war, but sort of doubting it in a way, and she was like, the next generation can potentially be the one to say sorry, and if it wasn't for Neil, that would never have been a conversation. And like you say, she's sort of given Neil this extra bit of courage to do the right thing.
That's why I thought Fluffy would have loved this episode, is because Neil, because it was all centered around him.
That's the
But
reason I watched the episode to the end. I only watched Neil's journey. Honestly, next episode I will turn in again because of Neil. Because I like his character and I find him cute. And yeah, his story is going really well. But what about the rest?
which is fair. I mean, that is fair.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, I didn't really care for this episode as far as the planet itself, because it seemed like, if you guys have ever seen Stargate, it's like whenever they go through the gate, they go to a new planet. It's like a different level of development, and that's what it's starting to come across now. Instead of a galaxy that is just a different planet, same quality of people, or same, I want to say, quality of life or whatnot. And you kind of go to planet, you kind of expect the same kind of interactions with the people. This one seemed completely different than anything we've seen in any Star Wars planet. Like,
Yeah,
these people were super underdeveloped.
Mad Max kind of planet.
Yeah.
They're also child soldiers, which also make me super uncomfortable, by the way.
Yeah, no, I thought it was funny, that little kid, when they're introducing him to the general, he's like, Neil, and then he just like hits them with his stick. I thought that kid was hilarious. Terrible for being children soldiers, but the way he spoke was hilarious.
Also, the accents.
I think that's exactly why the kid sounded funny, is the way he was speaking, was the accent that he was throwing out there was kind of made it a little bit more comical than it probably was meant to be.
I mean, a very weird French accent adjacent accent. And then she's doing these weird flipping, sliding, blah blah moves.
They were cool,
Okay.
They were unnecessary.
but cool. It's all about style. It's all about presentation. If you do
Yeah,
all these crazy things, then you look like you're a better warrior than you really are.
I will be doing that. From now on, when I'm walking away, I'm going to be doing cartwheel. It's all
Hey,
about the presentation.
yeah, when you go back to work, when you're walking down the halls,
Good morning.
please do.
please make sure that someone's recording that for us.
Yeah, do it on Bring Your Husband to Work Day, and have Kevin with you, recording you the whole day, just for that.
Fact that you would believe that I could do cartwheels.
Hey, I have faith in you.
Thank you for your faith in me.
Yeah.
Absolutely no. I barely walk on my 2 feet. Everything else is just a no.
Fair enough. But I mean, it is very interesting how she does move, and then they get to the school, and it's like a rooftop society. It's like they got this whole building, and it's all gutted out just for training and fighting, but everybody lives on the roof.
That was interesting because surely, like, they can't all really live on the roof. They have to be inhabiting some of the rooms in that school. I can't imagine all of them being just for training and shooting beer bottles with lasers.
Well, I'd imagine like the other rooms and stuff are like for like the generals and their high-ranking people that they consider worth the space. Because I'm gonna say probably the poorer people up top because we did see those two hungry children.
Yeah. But we don't really know how many people are actually on the planet. We know that there's these two warring tribes, but
Mhm.
how many people actually do live there? That might also be why the supervisor's tower was never touched, because for all we know, there could just be 20 people.
This is also true.
I wonder why were those children not treated like adults, or were they treated like adults and they didn't want to combat, so they were not fed? There was also something weird about those children being hungry while the rest of the people, because it didn't look like they were giving credits or anything in exchange of the food that they were getting. So those
Yeah,
children,
because when they came up, it said get your daily rations.
yeah, exactly. But those children were not given rations.
They're
Not
outcasts.
not that we know of. I mean, they could have been given a small amount.
Yeah, they could have already eaten.
We're basing it on how much food Neil and the girl were given, and given how the girl's father is in charge of that tribe, that might explain why she gets more.
And
And
able to
obviously,
give it to Neil as well.
yeah,
Because Neil doesn't even belong on the planet, and they give him food.
I think for Neil, because he was coming out of the training thing, and I think that's the exact same reason. The stronger warriors, stronger children are given more food, while the weaker children are being given less food, and so on. So that's why they were hungry. Maybe they are afraid to fight or afraid of the adults in that center, which is completely justifiable.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not getting enough food. That might also be the case, yeah.
Yeah, so again, there's this planet that introduces a society, but we don't really know too much about. Like, it adds more questions, and it's like, okay, what about these guys?
yeah. I'm kind of at this point, sort of to back Fluffy up with the not liking the episode thing. I'm kind of getting bored of the let's raise more questions and have zero answers. Let's just, if it was definitely renewed for a season 2, then yeah, sort of have more mystery elements that would potentially be answered ish in the last episode. But it's a one season thing at the moment, so let's just get
True.
to the point with it now.
Thank you. You put it way better than I did. You sounded much more like an adult. I was more like, I don't like it. But I was like, where is this going? In this moment, in this episode, I found myself being very frustrated with the amount of questions that are being asked, and that took me away from the adventurous part of things, of being able to follow the show, because there's just more and more and more questions. And as a person who loves even thinking more in depth into these things, I just find myself completely disassociated from the episode and just fighting with all of the questions in the back of my head.
Yeah,
but we get more unveiling at the end because they finally make it to that supervisor tower, and we get to see a bunch of coordinates. And my favorite droid turns into a villain. It's like, if you didn't like the child soldiers, what about a droid that's ready to tear off their limbs?
isn't that just what happened in episodes 1, 2, and 3 with the droids?
Basically. Now it's time for revenge. Let's do it to
Also,
the living.
Chopper and R2 being almost war criminals.
Hey,
Hey,
Chopper
both of
is
them,
a
they're
criminal.
almost. Yeah, it's not almost. They are.
Thank you for not letting me just question that.
No. I think that the ending was the bit that ruined the episode for me.
Why is
Because of,
that?
because of the fact that then you've got all these questions of, well, why are there so many other planets with the same ad part at the beginning? What do they all do? What was the point in them? Were they meant to be like Empire safe grounds, or it's like
I'm
it
not
was
gonna.
that
I'm
questions.
gonna say nothing to do with the Empire because it feels like the Empire knew nothing about Attin. Because if they did, then I feel like this planet would have some kind of, I want to say, evidence of the Empire being there.
Yeah,
For me, I have to again disagree with you. That was basically like, other than Neil's story, the last 5 minutes or so where they are in that fallen sanctum, supervisor's tower, whatever.
Mhm.
That part was, oh, okay, yeah. Now we know they are here, and this is not the only option. Yes, it is just another puzzle into the mix. But still, I felt like that took us somewhere.
Yeah,
And
because
Mhm.
of the droid.
Yeah, I mean, SM33 is a good character, I think. And I don't know if he could be inherently good or bad, but his programming at the moment does not differentiate between children or adults. But if anybody asks a question about Attin, they are going
They
to be
die.
yar.
Yar. Kill them all. I do have to say the one part I did not like. I did not like the way they filmed him going crazy. All the the camera focused on his face and all the shakiness as he's getting into kill mode. I didn't really care for the filmography on that one. I thought it was a very curious choice for how they did that.
I think it kind of worked for the type of droid that it is,
Yeah,
just because it is, he's clearly got a few screws loose anyway. So seeing him kind of transform from this forgetting Attin droid to a mass murderer essentially was well done for me, especially considering like it focused more on the facial expressions of a droid, which is hard to do when droids have no face.
or one that moves really. Yeah,
Yeah.
I felt like he gave me the General Grievous vibes. I like
yeah, I can see that.
when he straightened himself up, ready for combat. I was like, oh, that's a Grievous move.
Yeah, because his arms kind of like changed or went into transformer mode a little bit.
Mm. So I appreciated that, but I wasn't paying enough attention to the filmography or anything. I honestly like, yeah, as I said, like all of the questions that kept piling up kept me from looking into things in detail.
Yeah, because now we got new questions that I'm very, very curious about. Is we got, let's see. So we got this droid who was commanded to protect Attin. So who programmed him like that? And if the captain killed his entire crew for just knowing the location, like, I really want to know more about Attin and why it's so important. And considering that the ship was landed and hidden on the planet, that means the captain's still on the planet, depending on how recently he landed, or at least his descendants are.
Ooh.
Unless the captain died.
Maybe the captain's the supervisor.
Could be the supervisor, which would be a very interesting twist. That you have this outsider that finds this planet, had it scratched out, and who knows if he went to each of those coordinates and scratched them out on every single one. Because I was thinking the same thing that as you mentioned earlier. It's like, okay, we're going to be going to each of these planets, and if I was a captain and I was really trying to hide a location, I would make sure that there's no trace of it anywhere.
Yeah, that would make sense, but I hope for the love of pie that we do not go to every single planet.
I don't think we will. I want to say it's a good assumption that if it's scratched out on this one, it's going to be scratched out on all of them, and it'd be a very interesting twist if an off-worlder is the one that did this, so he can hide from the galaxy or whatnot. And it's like, okay, well, I'm going to come in and take over because I know a lot about the world. It's like those people. It's like, okay, if you go back in time and you have all this knowledge of technology, go back in time to teach people.
Yeah,
He's probably there going, it's like, oh, I'm the know-it-all, so I have all this experience, so make me your leader. And so wondering if Fern's family, or maybe her grandfather or great grandfather, whatever, is the original captain. Because it's kind of interesting because of that she becomes captain of the ship. And so it'd be an interesting twist if technically she really is by blood.
It was Rey's parents while they were flying from Palpatine.
One of the Palpatine clones. Love it.
And I broke Sam. It finally happened.
Somehow Palpatine returned. He was hiding on Attin the whole time.
Oh God, I know you're joking about that, but please, no, do not make it a sort of cloning ground or anything.
I don't think it is a cloning ground though, because they're analysts and kind of like money people.
It is the Imperial Bank.
But that's the thing, is like, I don't think the Empire has any touch to it, so I don't think cloning or even Palpatine would be a thing here.
See, I don't know, because there's still many mysteries about the whole Palpatine thing anyway. So it could be just as simple as all these ad planets were sort of taken off records because they're just secret Empire something or others that nobody knows about. It's like it would ruin it, because
That's where the First Order was born.
The Knights of Ren.
It could happen.
I mean, this could be like where they originally got the name AT-AT from. At like, they're like, how do we make this into a vehicle name?
Obviously, it's the factory planet for AT-AT.
Mm-hmm.
We solved it, guys.
Knew it. That's
not surprised.
Mystery solved. Everybody's happy.
Yeah.
I still don't think that the Empire is involved in any way to this planet, though.
No, me neither. And it's not for storytelling purposes. It is because they don't want to include this into the whole universe of the Skywalker saga. They just want to keep it a separate entity. That's the only reason.
Because it's a hidden planet. So it's new mystery. Just like in Ahsoka with I forgot the new planet that kind of talks about the father, daughter, and son.
Mm.
It's like they're introducing new planets outside the galaxy, and
yeah, that's also a very smart way of doing things for that, because even though we have similar characters, we moved out of the galaxy and now we're going in a different direction.
yeah, because I was reading, I was not reading, I saw a video, and there's this guy that was talking about, it's like, okay, well, people aren't liking Skeleton Crew because it's not focusing on the Skywalker at all, and he's saying that's why Acolyte failed too. And it's like, okay, is Star Wars only limited to the Skywalker era of that 45-year period? And honestly, it's like Andor did really well without introducing the Skywalkers or the Force or anything like that. And people want the Old Republic and stuff like that. So I really don't think it's going to be like that.
I think it's a very easy answer to blame it on the lack of Skywalker, Jedi, whatever, for every failed project. It's just a very easy way out. Nobody wants to take a look at the storytelling. Nobody wants to take a look at the casting, whatever. Like, there are so many more fundamental problems, and Disney pushing out stuff because nobody's going to.
And it failed because you're not woke enough or anything like that. It's like, no, the story just sucks.
I mean,
but I can see where you're going with a Skeleton Crew, but at the same time, I feel like there is plenty of story there that's engaging. But I think it's just like how you mentioned in the last couple podcasts. I just don't think this is a story that really pulls you specifically in. But at least Jude Law has only used the Force once that we've seen. So it's not becoming as Force centric as we were thinking it was going to be with him being a Jedi, or with at least using the Force.
That raises the question then as to why bother making him a Jedi, or why give him the Force? Because
does he have the Force, or was he placed in that jail cell on purpose, and somebody else used the Force?
Then why didn't they escape? I mean,
maybe because they probably saw the kid had sketches of Jedi and stuff like that, and they're like, "Oh, well, we got someone that knows how to use the Force, so let's trick these kids."
and leave the poor actual Force user in the jail.
Who's to say it was even the Force? What if it was what you want to call it?
Magnet.
Special effects. It was on string. Fishing line. It was on a fishing wire to make it look like the Force.
No, I think
twist and a twist and a twist.
I think he has got Force abilities, but
not that skilled.
Why, if whoever has the Force in this show, why give it them if they're not going to do anything with it? You know what? Are we going to get an episode where we do see him use the Force properly and for either good or bad purposes? You know, it's we are halfway through now, and there are a lot of questions. Damn you, Fluffy! I was enjoying this episode.
Sorry.
You still can. But here's another thing too, is like, because I don't know if it was with you guys I was discussing with her, but the kids are lost, and then he mentions he's lost, and maybe it's because the Jedi Order is gone, and so he's technically kind of lost as well. And so maybe he's like Kenobi, where you've been away from the Jedi for so long, and you had to hide, that you kind of get disconnected from the Force, and he only is able to use like levitating keys or something.
But at this point, Luke's killed the Emperor, and isn't he sort of well on the way to setting up his own Jedi school?
Maybe Jude Law's character likes not being associated with the Jedi Temple. He likes the pirate.
I
Yo
feel
ho, a pirate's life for me.
Yar!
I feel like he has a stupidly tragic backstory. That's what I feel. I feel like he was force sensitive. I feel like he was like maybe the Inquisitors stole him as a child. He was force
He
sensitive.
escaped.
He escaped. So no Jedi, but a very traumatic childhood. Because he's also obsessed with money. Yeah, he's a pirate, yeah, but that might also point to a very traumatic childhood.
That is very possible as well.
But as we know, that's not going to be it. It's just going to be like, he's bad because he is bad.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, honestly.
I'm kind of feeling, and I know I mentioned it in the last episode, how I didn't like how he was referred to as Crimson Jack because Jack Sparrow exists.
Oh, yeah.
This episode gave me more Jack Sparrow vibes. Stealing the money and then using, or may have used the money to then buy the herd to free the kids. That's kind of Jack Sparrow's MO. Like,
Don't forget the bottle of rum.
Yeah, like look like you're doing the wrong thing to do the right thing, even though it's to help your own cause.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I just don't know where I stand with this character.
Well, you could have traded it for Hyde, and he was very curious how much he would have gotten instead of kids, which I thought was funny. He's like, no, I'm just kidding. I'm not actually going to trade you for a bunch of Hyde. You guys are still important to my cause.
See, I felt like that part of, for example, Neil hugging him was very cute, but we know Neil is a naive little boy. But
I would say it's fair to say all of them are.
Yeah, I don't think KB is.
That's true, because she was awake on the ship and had that little interaction with them. Like, she didn't trust them.
Yeah, and Fern doesn't, but she's also more naive than we think. She's more idealistic, and probably the way her mom raises her affects that a lot as well. But whatever.
The fake tough guy.
What I wanted to say was that I think their relationship ending up in that hug for that part of the episode was very underdeveloped for me. They were like no adults in the what was it? What is that part of the ship?
The bridge?
Yes, thank you. No adults on the bridge to, oh no, you saved us. Let's hug. And I was like, no.
The Fluffy just doesn't like good, wholehearted moments.
No, I just can't.
You've converted her, Sam.
They are not.
Order 66.
God, what if Sam corrupted me?
Maybe that's my plan all along.
Starting to understand Anakin's fall.
What if I can't see the good in things anymore?
It's okay. Hopefully, I'll rub off on you with my positivity. And for those that can't see, Sam just put on his hood to look like a Sith Lord. Excellent.
Yoink.
Now be like me, the Grey Jedi. I am the Bendu. I am the one in the middle. But overall, the story was basically a story about Neil and him kind of becoming a little bit more confident and not such a coward. And he continues to prove why everybody has fallen in love with this little blue alien. Because he kind of reminds me of the whole Neville, where becomes the hero at the end.
Imagine Neil saving the planet.
I mean, Neville, very
I
similar.
was just going to say,
Yeah.
what if he's Neil because of Neville?
Interesting. Harry Potter.
I mean, because we have a Hermione, we have a Harry, we have a Ron.
And now we just need a Neville. The one that stands up to his friends.
You can see it, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Damn. This is not going well.
No.
I'd say it's a little bit of a stretch. It's quite a stretch, actually, but yeah.
It's definitely a stretch, but there are parallels between
The characters.
the characters, yeah.
I mean, okay, all those characters are made after archetypes, and of course
Yeah.
these also fit into that. But I honestly don't have a problem with seeing who is who very clearly.
The show is very unoriginal to Fluffy because it reminds you of this and reminds you of that, but when it comes to character archetypes, she's like, I don't mind.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Hate the episode. Character archetypes, they're good.
Oh no, I am going to shut up and let you guys finish this discussion.
The only one other thing I wanted to comment, and then in my notes was, I'm very curious of what they're going to do with 33.
Yeah, I'm curious to see whether the next episode picks up straight away from how this one ended, or if they'll just be magically back on the ship.
I do have to say, I hate how they end the episodes. Like, it's very. I think one of you guys said it earlier. Very abrupt endings.
May I? I have a theory. I mean, it's not like they can only go to these planets, and they have a spaceship, so they're probably going to end up in a planet where Crimson Jack knows someone who is really good with droids, and they're going to.
Babu Frick.
Yeah, and they're going to just get 33s, like that guy from Mando. I have spoken.
Oh yeah, I think the safest way to do it was just decapitate the droid and then turn on the droid's head. That way, the body's not sitting there flailing around trying to kill you. You just got a head that's yelling at you.
Did you really have to use decapitate, or could you have just said removing the memory?
You can remove the head, so the rest of the body is not going to be attacking you.
Decapitate, definitely.
Yeah. I thought you were going dark side here, Fluffy.
No. I just realized this is I'm okay.
Fair enough. But overall, really cool episode. Neil got his moment of heroics. And we'll see where it goes next episode. Sam, did you have any other thoughts?
No, I enjoyed the episode. I think if I was to rewatch it I might be more influenced by Fluffy's hate for it, but like to sit there and just enjoy it for what it was, it was a Neil episode. That's fine.
Any final thoughts, Miss Fluffy?
I didn't hate. I hated the episode. No, I'm not going to lie.
And that's okay. So yeah, so overall, really good episode for me. I know Fluffy hated it, but it was a very interesting episode. Like, I would definitely have to say it's the weaker of the 4 that we've seen. But I'm very curious on where it's going to go. If they're going to speed up the story at all, if we're going to see the Pirates or the Republic is going to catch up to them, and it's going to be a race to the finish line. Because I feel like 33 is going to be the key to get back to Attin. And yeah, so the journey continues next week. All right, guys, so that's going to end it for us today. So before we go, just remember to check down in the description below where you can find our link tree, where you can find our social media, where you can be able to find fans just like yourselves on Instagram and our Discord channel. Also, if you want to check out some cool merch, we do have some cool merch from entertainmentearth.com, where it's a bunch of cool collectibles. Or if you want to check out some of our t-shirts that we designed on our Teespring, be sure and check those out, guys. So we will catch you guys next week. So may the force
be with you.
Always.